Welcome to the Ignition News. Let's play.
Good morning, everyone. And the show's not quite started. The live feed didn't kick in. 1 second. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ignition News. It is March 2nd, 2026. My show today is dedicated to my former teacher, Dawn. I was thinking about her the other day because I very vividly remember after I graduated high school, I was working at a Target, and she came to see me at the Target one day, and she said, "You're such a fun kid. You're so crazy, but you button your shirt all the way to the top." And so, in honor of Dawn, in spite of my propensity to unbutton that button, I did, in fact, button my shirt up all the way to the top today. Educators are important. I remember every single good teacher that I had, and it's what inspires me to be a good teacher in our space, to teach you how we're going to push back against this rising wave of Christian nationalist authoritarianism. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. It is a wild day, obviously, so we have a lot of stories to talk about. But I'm kind of curious, what are some good things that are happening in your neck of the woods? I'd love to hear about it on the chat. We are streaming live. Let's see, where are we streaming? We're on YouTube, Twitch, Substack. We used to be on Instagram, but not so much. And then TikTok, and then somewhere else I'm forgetting. But it's great to be here. So yeah, I appreciate you. Today is March 2nd, 2026. Jesus. Here's some things that happened on today. In 1913, believe that or not, 113 years ago, Congress granted postal workers an 8-hour workday. This was a pivotal move in government transparency regarding working conditions for federal employees, moving away from the unlimited service model that allowed the state to exploit workers without temporal boundaries. So they used to just say, you're going to work until you deliver all the mail. But as of today, in 1913, they put a stop to that. In 1937, March 2nd, 1937, a massive victory for labor transparency. U.S. Steel officially recognized the Steelworkers Organizing Committee. This ended decades of company unionism, where corporations essentially investigated themselves and controlled their own labor narrative. Let's see. In 2025, this was the first No King's Day. Happy 1-year anniversary to everyone who went to the very first No King's Day movement, which has obviously spread massively. We're going to continue to talk about grabbing and grasping local power, organizing, and that sort of thing. What else do we have? Yeah, so a lot of important things happened today. A lot of things happened from people who came before you on March 2nd, on this day, in order to set you up to push back against this rising wave of Christian nationalist authoritarianism. We will push back and we will be successful. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. I do need to take a quick break to ask you to please go ahead and find the show on your favorite platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Substack. We are a live show, yes, of course, but we also do post episodes to the podcast platform. This is, after all, a podcast that we just happen to record live because we love our crew over on Rebel Radio. And we do stream on Rebel Radio on the WARN, the Weirdos American Resistance Network. Although my lawyer would like me to remind you that we do not actually broadcast on any AM or FM channel. We've got important stories today. 4 service members are dead. 3 American fighter jets were shot down by our own allies. An anonymous traitor called traitor, you decide, called MAGA My Man made $500,000 betting on the assassination of Iran's supreme leader right before it happened. The president, of course, dismissed diplomatic solutions, and there are growing calls for the president to be impeached and removed from office. Let's get into look at that. Look what TikTok did. Look at what TikTok did. All right, let's go. Welcome to the first story, everybody. As of this morning, 4 United States members of the armed forces have been killed in what the military is calling Operation Epic Fury, the obviously joint American and Israeli bombardment of Iran that started on February 28th. 3 of the fallen soldiers were deployed to Kuwait as part of a logistics and supply unit. They were not in a combat role. They were there to keep the operation running from an operational standpoint. The 4th service member was critically wounded in Iran's initial retaliatory strikes and succumbed to those injuries over the weekend. So the U.S. engaged in military activity without the approval of Congress, and now 4 American soldiers are dead. U.S. Central Command confirmed the deaths in a post on X, which itself is insane. Here's what Trump said about this. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude for the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. That's the way it is. The fucking president of the United States said on the death of 4 American servicemen, that's the way it is. Think about that for a second. Oh, I got a little thing here that says, share responsibility on live. Confirm sources before sharing and engaging with content. Oh my God. That's the way it is. That is what the president, this orange Mustafa, had to say about the death of 4 American citizens. Exactly, like Lord Farquaad's speech in Shrek, 100%. It's insane. Let's get on to story number 2. We're still in the Middle East. This one's insane. The headline today really should be everywhere right now. The United States Air Force lost 3 F-15E Strike Eagles. They were shot down over Kuwait on this morning. They were not shot down by Iranians. They were shot down by Kuwaitis, allies. Friendly fire. I will be unfriending. Thank you very much. And this is just 3 days into this combat. CENTCOM confirmed the incident today. It said the jets were flying in support of Operation Epic Fury when Kuwaiti air defense systems engaged them during what they called active combat, a chaotic environment of Iranian drones, ballistic missiles, and aircraft just flooding the skies in the Middle East. Of course, the good news is apparently there were no casualties. All 6 crew members ejected safely. There's a ton of video going around about that. The F-15E is a twin-seat aircraft. It is a pilot and weapon systems unit. There is a pilot and a weapon systems officer in each plane. The crews were flying over Kuwait, which should have been friendly territory. So what military analysts are saying is that the F-15E does not carry an infrared missile warning system, meaning if Kuwaiti air defenses used an infrared guided missile, the crew would not have had any warning at all. The U.S. Embassy in Kuwait issued a shelter-in-place warning for all American citizens in the country, but we are not lost on this fact. 3 days into this combat, we have lost 3 F-15s to friendly fire. I'm going to go into ranting mode right now. Number 1, this is what happens when you have a Department of Defense that is run by an alcoholic. This is what happens when the person in charge of your military is a chud who does not respect the men and women that he is in charge of protecting. When they do not implement proper safety protocol, when they do not implement proper cooperation with our own allies, and when they blunder into a war in the desert, another fucking war in the desert, without cooperation, without a plan, and certainly without any strategy, men and women of this country and children in the other countries are dying as a result of this. The F-15Es that went down today in Kuwait cost about $100 million. That is $300 million. Not to mention the fact that apparently we lost, I think it was 2 F-15s that just fell off of a ship like about 6, 7, 8 months ago. Do you remember that? $300 million is enough to give healthcare to over 18,000 American citizens. $300 million could provide homeless services for the entire city of Los Angeles for several years. $300 million could help subsidize houses for thousands of families or build affordable apartments and multifamily units for thousands of people. And today in Kuwait, $300 million of your money went crashing to the ground because Kuwait, a quote-unquote friendly Mideast partner, shot down 3 planes carrying 6 men and women because this military, under this Pete Hegseth and this president, have no idea what they're doing. And so simultaneously, the dictatorship wants you to believe that we have the most effective military in the world that carried out this strike. And they're no doubt obviously very successful. Apparently, they eradicated most of the Iranian leadership. But in the same breath, in the same airspace, 6 American service members were put in jeopardy because the Kuwaitis shot them down. $300 million. That's just what we lost. That doesn't count what it cost to move all of the battleships into place, what it costs to launch the weapons packages into the state of Iran, what it is going to cost you in increased and rising oil and fuel costs, and most importantly, what it is going to cost you in the sense of your own individual safety. These actions do not make us safer. They only put us at further risk. And the thing about empire is they force you into a choice. They force you to say, oh, what? So you support Iran, the regime? You hippie? They kill protesters. They're terrible. Well, let me tell you, you can mourn for the people. You can mourn for the loss of agency, the loss of life. 148 at least children killed at a daycare. And you can understand that the government was doing terrible things as well. But you can also recognize that you live in a country which is essentially just 50 third world countries stacked on top of each other, where your prosperity, your healthcare, your career, your safety, your family are always put at risk in the interest of empire, in the interest of billionaires. Northrop Grumman, Boeing, when they see $300 million worth of aircraft go down in Kuwait, do you know what they see? Fuck yeah, that's another $300 million. We're going to build some F-22s or some F-35s. I think they stopped making F-22s. But what they see is, fuck yeah, we're going to build some more planes. Burn, baby, burn. But defense contractors are not the only ones profiting from this assault on children and this assault on you. Let me tell you about something else that happened. This is a recurring theme that's happening. You're familiar with Polymarket, prediction markets? An anonymous trader operating under the username MAGA My Man, these people are so fucking stupid, made more than $553,000 on the prediction market platform Polymarket by betting that Iran's supreme leader would be removed from power right before Israeli strikes killed him on Saturday. To clarify, Israeli and American strikes. On Polymarket alone, $500 million in trades were made on the precise timing of when U.S. forces would drop bombs on Iran. Think about that for a second. People were betting real money in real time on whether the U.S. would strike Iran. Obviously, these trades are drawing a lot of scrutiny. The White House has denied that anyone in Trump's administration was behind the trades, but it is a bit suspicious. This is, of course, not the first time. In January, an anonymous trader made thousands of dollars betting on the arrest of Nicolas Maduro right before the raid. Months before that, Israeli authorities charged 2 people with using classified military intelligence to place Polymarket bets on attacks against Iran in June. Under U.S. commodity law, market trades tied to death and war is illegal because those bets create financial incentives for violence. But most of the Khomeini trades were placed on Polymarket's overseas exchange outside of the reach of American regulators. So let's be very clear about what happened. This administration and the Israelis killed someone, and someone that appears to be close to this administration profited off of the death of a human being. Do not lecture me about the Iranian regime when some sick little fuck just made $500,000 with insider information about the death of the leader of Iran, but most importantly, strikes which killed at least 148 children. If there is a hell, there is a luxury plush seat waiting for that motherfucker. Disgusting. Of course, for months, Americans and Israeli intelligence agencies, including the CIA, had been secretly tracking Khomeini's daily movements. They were tracking where he slept, how he communicated. They were waiting for the right moment. Obviously, that moment came on Saturday morning, but the background is 3 months of nuclear talks between the United States and Iran that collapsed on February 26th, just 2 days before the bombs fell. Of course, they were making progress. They were coming to the table. The United States government likely committed some version of a war crime by falsely engaging with Iran in what they called peace talks while they were secretly planning to kill all of their leadership. And then, along with Israel, they used technology to fake some kind of signal intel that apparently got all of these people in one place, and then they killed them all while they were negotiating peace with them. Trump administration officials told congressional staff in private briefings that U.S. intelligence did not assess that Iran was preparing for a preemptive strike against the United States. There was a general threat from Iranian missiles to the region, but no evidence of an imminent attack on America. The president bypassed Congress entirely. There is no declaration of war. There's no war powers resolution. Nothing. And for those little MAGA chuds who will say, oh, he has 60 days, 90 days to declare war. The operation in June happened, that would be June, 8 months ago, almost 9 months ago. The president never sought authorization from Congress. There was no war powers declaration, definitely not covered under the authorization of use of military force for Iraq and Afghanistan. So now we factually know that the president declared an illegal war in June. The president factually went to war with a country in June, factually, violating the Constitution. And now Congress is pretending that some magic day the president is going to come to them and say, oh, I'm here for my declaration of war. But by the way, in case you haven't quite figured this out, your member of Congress is not mad that the president went to war without their approval, an express violation of the Constitution for which he should be impeached. No. They are mad that they didn't fucking get to vote for it. My senator, Jackie Rosen, we must authorize the use of military force. I want you to think about it for a minute. I want you to think about that thing that is sitting at the back of your throat, that thing that you're about to say, or that you have considered saying. Maybe not you, but maybe somebody you know, maybe they have said it. Why should I care about these children across the ocean, many continents away? I have my own problems. I can't afford to pay my rent. I don't have health care. I'm closer to dead than anyone else I know. Why should I care about these children in some far off place with a different religion, a different flag, different traditions, different customs? 148 children who got up one day. For those of you who are parents, I'm a parent. Little kids getting up at school, getting ready. They have these little, this ridiculous energy that they have when they're going to school. They're not worried about international conflict or bills or healthcare. They're worried about did I bring something cool in my lunch? Are they going to make fun of me because I brought too many apples? Nervous energy. Did I remember my test? Am I gonna do okay in my test? Is the teacher going to call me to the front of the class? Oh my God, that's going to be so embarrassing. $148 at least of those girls went into that daycare in Iran. And Israel and the United States of America lobbed a bomb on top of those children, and none of those children walked out of that school that day. What you do when you say these people have a value, they deserve life and protection because of their GPS location, is you by default you decide who is human and who is not human. You decide who gets the protection of international law and who does not. parents who can't bury their entire child because all they were able to find of their child was their foot. Because of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. The government of the United States launched a new app. It's like Uber or DoorDash. As long as you bribe the president or his family, you can rent the United States military like an Uber ride to change regimes, to kill people, to drop bombs. The problem with the American view of exceptionalism is that it is more important to be seen as good or doing good or on the right side of history than it is to do the difficult work of standing up. This is the language of empire. When they say to you, it is tragic that 148 girls lost their lives in a daycare, but how do you finish that sentence? How do you finish that sentence? With any sense of human morality, how can you possibly? We have entered into a war of aggression. There is no such thing as a preemptive military strike. That terminology is not a factual or protected term in military law or international law, because if it were, everything could be a preemptive military strike. And you, as a resistance member, someone resisting this administration, could be a threat, which could be preemptively removed. Think about that. We have gone to war with Iran in the interest of Benjamin Netanyahu, in the interest of the state of Israel, who has access to universal health care, education, public service. Your tax dollars fund the infrastructure of that company because they don't have to spend $50 billion or $300 billion on their own military defense. And by the way, they didn't have to spend a penny of the money that the United States spent to lob missiles into Iran, which killed children. That's right, Kodak. I was driving on the road. There's a road in Las Vegas. It's Spring Mountain. It goes into which is commonly referred to as Chinatown. And this road is like off-roading. There's 3-4 inches of pavement, the difference between the pavement and the road. I drive a car and it was like I was driving in some third world country. The road was damaged, destroyed. This is a major thoroughfare that 10, 15,000 people an hour travel to get from various parts of Las Vegas to the Las Vegas Strip, traveling through one of the most densely populated areas of Las Vegas aside from the Strip. And the road looks like it belongs in the off-road back roads of a third world country. The infrastructure of our country, whether that's the physical infrastructure, the healthcare infrastructure, the educational infrastructure, is crumbling in front of us. My car is worse than it was yesterday because I drove on a fucking public street and it was like I was off-roading in the Sahara. But Israel, they have beautiful infrastructure, public education, public healthcare, college. I will have saved almost every day, every month. My wife will have saved almost every day of every month to try to carve out enough energy and room and space for our son to be able to go to school and have a little bit of a comfort cushion, knowing that it's never possibly going to be enough. In spite of that, my tax dollars have been used to kill children in Iran. Citizens of the country of Israel don't have to worry about that. Their education is paid for, in part by my same tax dollars. The same tax dollars that killed those children in Iran paid for the schooling, the college schooling of those people in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu flew to Washington, D.C. about 2 weeks ago, and now we lobbed American missiles that killed at least 40 of the top officials in Iran. We've left the people, all 92 million of them, with no plan, no operation, no strategy, no structure, no plan. And what we do, the United States of America, to the rest of the world, especially if you're brown, it is the ultimate abusive relationship. We say, look what you made me do to you. See what you made me do to you? This is your fault. Why can't you just be grateful? Why do you resist us? Why do you fight back? Why did you say that to me? Do you see what you made me do to you? I'm reminded of an interview with a girl in Palestine, a Palestinian girl in Gaza, I'm sorry. Someone was asking her, what was it that you were dreaming about? And she said, a loaf of bread. Bread. Her family starved by wars of aggression, by genocide. Imagine yourself so starved, so deprived of basic human liberty that you were dreaming about bread. This is what we have done to the region, to these people. Let me close out the show by telling you about a story of resistance. I can't just tell you all the bad news. I have to tell you what we can do about it. So let me tell you about something I've told you about before on Rebel Radio. I want to talk to you about a moment in history when ordinary people decided they were not going to wait for permission to do the right thing. It is October 1943, Nazi-occupied Denmark. The German Reich had decided it was time to round up Denmark's Jewish population. There we go, Codex, going to get a package. Let me start again. The German Reich had decided it was time. My dog's freaking out about a package. Give it a little pause. We'll edit this out in the back end. It's okay. It happens. It's October 1943, Nazi-occupied Denmark. The German Reich has decided it's time to round up the Denmark Jewish population, 7,700 people. Somebody leaked that plan, and what happened next was one of the most extraordinary acts of mass civilian resistance in the Second World War. Ordinary Danes got fishermen, teachers, doctors, neighbors, strangers organized almost overnight. Over the course of just a few weeks, they smuggled those 7,000 Jewish Danes across the Orens Strait into neutral Swedish fishing boats. They hid people in homes and churches and hospitals. They raised money to pay fishermen who couldn't afford to operate for free. They operated without government sanction, without military protection, and without any guarantee that they would be arrested or would not be arrested or would be shot or would not be shot. They did it anyway. The Danish rescue did not end the occupation from the Nazis. It did not topple the Nazis, but it did save 7,000 people. And it demonstrated something that authorities have always feared. Ordinary people acting together without waiting for permission from their institutions are ready. And they can change the course of events. In this case, they saved 7,000 people. What the Danish resistance tells us is that the action does not have to be dramatic or large. It has to be deliberate. It has to happen now, in your neighborhood. This is the Ignition News. It is March 2nd, 2026. 4 Americans are dead. 3 planes have crashed in Kuwait. Someone made $500,000 on an assassination. Diplomacy ended before a war even started. And the constitutional order is being tested in real time. But we understand one fundamental truth. One truth. We've talked about this before, and before I close out, I want to let you know that our show is sponsored by Ignite, Fighting Fascism in the Age of Its Rise. Ignite is our signature podcast, which is a series of lessons, free lessons that teaches you how to fight fascism in your community, how to pressure your representatives, how to run for office, or how to fix the pothole in front of your house. Ignite, Fighting Fascism in the Age of Its Rise is available on all of your podcast platforms. But the core of what we talk about, whether that's here on the Ignition News or Rebel Radio, is simple: power. You have been robbed of the identity of your own power and the identity of organizing in your own communities. And here at Rebel Radio, here on the Ignition News, we are teaching you how to go back into your communities and how to take that power. You have to fundamentally believe that you can take it back. We are going to teach you how to build that power in your communities, one person at a time, 1,000 leaders in 1,000 different communities, one day, one step, one process at a time. It is very clear that the institutions of power are failing us, but in the same failure is our opportunity to take it back with raw human people power. This is the Ignition News. It's March 2nd, 2026. There is always brightness in this time of darkness. And I find that brightness in you, your support, and our community. Thanks for tuning into the show. Whew. Way to go. Way to go, team. Did I miss something with the moderators? Was there some drama? What do we got here? Well, we got some salty comments over on YouTube. I don't moderate YouTube. I just kind of let that shit fly. You know, it is what it is. Bye, Samstack.